additional layer for that was, you know, on Farscape, it was almost not every man for himself, but everyone was sort of suffering from some incredible performance adversity. The puppeteers were all kind of, you know, like this, and, you know, to 6 people trying to get Rigel into a room, and Brian Henson would come in and say, I don't know, how come Rigel hasn't been in any scenes lately? And then he would direct and be like, oh my God, I get it, okay, do we need Rigel in the scene? So, for those of you who haven't seen Farscape, it's an animatronic puppet that's, you know, amazingly articulate face that requires someone controlling the eyes, someone doing the mouth, someone speaking, someone doing ears, sometimes human hands in each of his hands, someone on the sled with their hand in him, and then a couple of people sort of sliding him in and out. And then was revoiced later by someone else, which was another interesting complication. So, and then there were obviously the prostitutions who'd come in and touch up his makeup like the actors. It was hilarious. We needed checks on Rigel as much as we needed on us. And so, yeah, on Farscape in this blistering heat in Australia with no AC, a little less humid than Atlanta, but you know, definitely up in the 90s in the summer, if not into the hundreds, with no AC, and people wearing full prosthetics, wigs, vinyl or leather, or both, coats, everything. It was the full glam rock experience, prosthetic, full contacts, all of that stuff. So everyone was suffering, so I felt like, you know, Ben and I being the only 2 humanoid aliens, or me being the only humanoid alien and him the only human, at the start, that we kind of had to be ambassadors to sort of try and keep people afloat, and I would refer to it as Wookiee meltdown. You know, we'd see someone in makeup about to kind of, and we'd have to find the ADs and say, you know. So when I came to Stargate, there was just this incredibly buoyant yet organized atmosphere on set. So for me, very different experiences as an actor, not having that same responsibility as a leading lady as I did on Farscape. It was a very serious character and a very serious responsibility. Vala, I just got to sort of walk in and mix it up. But yeah, I'd say the common thing is definitely, I think it's the same the world over, that's what I hope for anyway, and I've not found any exception to this rule yet, that sets are a place where people have to work very hard, they have to enjoy themselves, and they have to be passionate about what they're doing, otherwise it's a complete waste of their time, because you rarely see your family. So, but that was a nice thing as well on Stargate. It was, you know, the directors would say, no, we're not doing overtime tonight, it's bath time at home. And that's the way they prioritized, and I was very grateful for obvious reasons that that was a show I was working on at that time. So thank you for your question.
Hi, Claudia.
Hello.
Okay, I just have one really important question.
Okay.
Michael Shanks or Ben Browder?
Say that? You want me to be honest this time? I don't think I've ever attempted to answer this question before, let alone be honest. Well, a mother is never supposed to pick favourites, and neither is an on-screen lover. They're both equally delicious, and I mean that not from experience of taste. It's a metaphor. No, they've got a similar work ethic, and they're both brilliant upstairs and creative and interesting and funny, and they both were very protective and supportive of me, and that's reflected in my performance. I think if I'd done an outrageously crap performance on one show and vastly different on the other, you might start to think, oh, perhaps, you know, what were the circumstances surrounding that actor's experience that they were so good on one show, or, you know, seemed to be better on one show than the other. I felt equally supported. I felt that in both instances that we would be friends if we'd met socially, and I wouldn't really have survived in either environment, no matter how supportive, without either of them. I'm a really lucky girl to have bounced off one show with one very tight working relationship with Ben, to then suddenly meet Michael, who, funnily enough, when I first met him, when I came to the set, he was walking past and someone said, oh, Michael's really glad you come to work on the show. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was standing there waiting to do a fight rehearsal with him, and he walked past, and I thought he had seen me, and he kept walking, and I thought, he's one of those. He hadn't seen me at all, and when he came up, he was just, oh, hi, it's really nice to meet you, and he was just being so Canadian and so sweet, and I was like, oh, okay, I have to get that thought out of my head now. He's a completely different person to who I suppose I thought he was, and I was so impressed, because straight away Michael was contributing and sharp in the same way that Ben was, about let's make this better, let's make this work, and whatever. And I said to Michael, fateful words really, I think, according to him, because it kind of etched our friendship in stone. I went up to him because I was on the opposite side of the fence this time. I wasn't a leading lady trying to make guests comfortable. I wasn't sort of Julie, the cruise director. I was from Love Boat, if anyone's old enough in this room like me to remember that. I was the guest, and I remember on Farscape being eternally grateful for the people that would come in every week and say, just to see the look of wonder in their eyes, first of all, at the costumes and the sets on Farscape, which were sublime, and the detail that you never really see unless it's up close, and hence why I'm so impressed when people come and they've recreated costumes from Farscape and the detail is there, and you think, wow, you know, and they had to do that on a weekly basis, constantly creating those things. And the guests would come, and there'd be that look of wonder, and they would say, this is amazing, what a fantastic opportunity for you guys to work in this environment. You're so lucky. I'm so jealous you're doing this every day. And we'd be sort of like, oh, I've got to call my agent, I'm exhausted, I don't want to do overtime tonight. You know, feeling sorry for ourselves in whatever way. And the guests always reminded us how grateful we should be and how lucky we were, and of all the positives. And it was a form of service that they provided in this odd way that they weren't expecting, probably, that they were helping to lift us. And it was an intimidating environment. I think you walk onto the Farscape set, it's like hooly-dooly, and everyone else seemed to know what they were doing, and it seemed to move quite quickly for the guests when they came on. So for me, with Michael, I thought, what would help him? He's been on this show for a long time. I haven't seen all his sort of interactions with female characters on the show, so I'm not sure what I can bring to the table. So I'm going to ask him, and I said to him, I don't know, this script is really fun, and it's a great opportunity, and I don't know if you've had this kind of opportunity before, so I just want to know what aspects of your character you haven't been able to explore before, where you would have the opportunity now. What can I do for you to encourage that to play and to come out? How can I make this really sort of sing for you? What do you want to do, and how do you want to have fun, if that's, of course, if it is indeed your intention to enjoy yourself? How can I serve you? And then we started working and talking about it, but I think Michael was just sort of stunned for a moment that it had actually been verbalized. I just wanted to make sure I was there for 2 days. I wanted to really sort of, and he's so brilliant in it. My husband and I have watched that episode whenever Prometheus Unbound comes up on cable. We watch it to enjoy Michael, because I don't think he's given his real credit a lot of the time for the leading man that he really is,